Welcome to the Woodstock WordPress Meetup. My name's April Weir. I'm your host along with WordPress. This is an official chapter of the WordPress Meetup organization. So that means when you come to one of these meetups, you're participating in the WordPress project. And so why is that important? Well, WordPress is not just a piece of software or a website builder. What WordPress does is, we've got some people that, okay, let me go ahead and mute you guys. What WordPress, the mission of WordPress is to democratize publishing, because if everybody, if you can't control the voice, you can't control the message, and everybody's voices need to be heard. And that's really, really important. And so that's why I feel so dedicated to WordPress, because it's not just a piece of software, it is also a community and a purpose. So welcome, and we're so glad that you're here. Today, we're really excited to have a really special guest speaker, Michelle Schulp. She's a UX strategy consultant and WordPress front-end developer from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She's a rock star at saying stuff, an adorable badass, and carefully curates spontaneity. And she's an accidental fitness buff. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. God, that just makes me laugh every time.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So we already have some questions in the chat. So I'm just going to turn this over to you while I continue to let people in.
Cool. All right. I would love to, first of all, have everybody kind of put in the chat really quick, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like, I've barely even touched the block editor, and 10 is like, I already know how to write custom blocks. Why am I even here? Which one are you in the chat? So I'd like to get a sense of who is here, so I know who I'm talking to. It's fun. All right, so we have every skill set. This is great. Fantastic. All right, so we have everywhere from 0 to 10. This is cool. This is great. All right, so I don't have a specific presentation in mind. What I'm going to do is a lot more open framework, kind of here's where it's at. I'm gonna, I have some stuff I can demo for you. I have some stuff I can talk about. But basically, the reason I'm here is because the block editor has been around for several versions of WordPress now. It is the future of WordPress editing if we're going to be not in a non-enterprise sense. It is the future of WordPress editing, and we all are kind of coming at it from different skill sets and different backgrounds. A lot of people, some people jumped right on when it was still the Gutenberg plugin. Some people are kind of hesitant to embrace it. Some people are already using another solution like a page builder or something else, and everybody's kind of do I do I need to embrace this? What is this thing, etc. So I'm here to answer a lot of your questions. I do want to provide a little bit of baseline level knowledge to make sure we're all kind of in the same spot. And what I will do is share my screen pretty soon so that you can take a look at kind of my demo thing, and we can kind of go through it. And oh, the host has spotlighted my video for everyone. How cool. All right, so we can, so I will share my screen so you can stare at a bunch of pictures of ponies, which is always how I do it. This is an example of I need to move my video over here so I can talk to all of you instead of there we go. Hi, everyone. This is an example of my base theme that I use, and I have been working on making it more and more block editor compliant as we go. On the front end, you can see there's a bunch of different kinds of blocks on here, several kinds of lists, different things like that. What I'm going to do is go in, show you a little bit of how it's put together, some of the decisions I made, maybe some of the decisions that I'm going to change as we go into full site editing, and then also just kind of answer your questions. So I'm also going to, let me see if I can find where my controls went so I can open the chat window up. Oh my gosh, do I even know how to use Zoom? Probably not. There they are. I will open up the chat window so that I can kind of keep an eye on that as well. There it is. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, great. So here we go. So you can see on the front end here, this is, you know, a site with a whole bunch of random blocks. Like I said, on the back end, same thing. Here is this page in the block editor. So for those of you that have seen this already, you know, you can go get some coffee or something. For those of you that haven't, I just wanted to give you a little bit of tour of the block editor. So you can see that in general, the block editor is meant to be a what you see is what you get interface for building content. So it should mostly mirror what you're seeing on the front end. For the thing about that, though, is that that's actually kind of the responsibility of the theme author to provide that stuff. So if your theme is not necessarily, quote, you know, block editor or Gutenberg compliant, then it will probably just have like the default WordPress styles back here, and it won't necessarily look like what it looks like on the front end. So that's one of the things when a theme says it's block editor or Gutenberg compliant, it means that they have taken the time to make sure that their backend styles match their front end styles, and that pretty much what you're seeing here in the editor is what you're going to see when you see it on the main page. That's one of the things. There are also several other things that you need to be aware of. So you can see right here, this particular block is the whole width across, right? This is another thing that themes have to be able to support. So these special like wide and full width things for blocks. Not every theme needs a wide width. Like what if you have a theme that has a sidebar? That would look kind of weird if you had a full width block, right? So that's another thing that theme authors have to choose to support. Something else you might see is you can see this color scheme here, and this is not the default WordPress color scheme. I, as a theme author, have decided to create a series of brand colors. For me, I put it in the customizer. I may choose to move that around now that global styles is going to be a thing with full site editing, but I have chosen to, you know, have a specific set of brand colors here, and a specific set of brand gradients here that I let my clients use based on whatever their colors are. These are just the default ones that come with my theme because they're cute. Yeah, so you can see, you can build some pretty complex layouts. It's definitely a whole lot more than the classic editor used to be. What I do want to speak to a little bit is kind of why we have the block editor, you know, how we got here, and then some cool stuff you can do with it out of the box without even doing anything custom. So let me let's leave this. Let's make a new post and take a look at it. So one thing you might notice is I opened this new post page, and it doesn't exactly look like core WordPress right now. You know, the title has this little like drop shadow under it. I have some blocks that kind of showed up as soon as I opened the page. That is something, again, that I did as a theme author. So I created what's known as a template, for a block template, where every time you create a new post, it comes pre-populated with some stuff. Now that's not necessary. I mean, if I delete these, you know, this is basically what you would normally see when you open up a post editor, and you can just start typing, and you don't even have to know anything about, this is my really great content, by the way. You can tell that I'm a good writer. But yeah, so there's a couple questions in the chat I want to address. So is Gutenberg the default for the current version of WordPress? Yes. And so I also want to say too, I'm going to use the words Gutenberg and the block editor. On a technicality for semantics, Gutenberg is the name of the experimental plugin project that now creates features that feed into what is known as the block editor in WordPress. So we're all insiders, and we're just going to say Gutenberg and block editor, and we all know what we mean. Technically, Gutenberg is the experimental plugin that's developing new features. You can install that on, you know, one of your test sites and try it out. The block editor is in WordPress core. It's all the stuff that's been finalized and merged, and everybody has it. So yes, the block editor is the default. There is a plugin called the classic editor, where if you need to use that, you can enable that and still have the classic editor. There's also options to enable the classic editor versus the block editor on different pages. So it helps you to migrate older sites into the new thing. But anyway, this is just core WordPress right now. So that's what I'm showing you. I've typed these really compelling paragraphs. But the thing is, we don't have to just type paragraphs anymore. And that's where adding blocks comes in. So there's a couple different ways to add a block when you're here. You could maybe manage to hover over and find the little plus sign to add a block kind of in the middle of stuff. which pops up this block menu. Or if you you can search for different blocks. These are just ones that I've happened to use a bunch recently. Or if you hit browse all, it takes you to the other option, which is in the upper left corner. And this is your entire block browser. Now you'll actually notice I have a couple other tabs up here besides just blocks. I'll go into that in a little bit. This is a little bit more like fun and exciting stuff. But these are all different blocks that you have. And many of these are blocks that come with WordPress baked in. So yes, the block editor comes with WordPress. You don't need anything special to be able to use it. There are premium and other third-party blocks available to build on top of it, but using all of the core editor and all this core block functionality is just part of WordPress now. So you'll notice there's a ton of blocks, and you know, some of them might be things you recognize, like say an image. If I add an image block, you know, and I want to grab something from my media library, and I have these really great, I like to use ponies because like they're ridiculous. You know, I want to insert an image in here. Blocks each come with their own set of settings. So the entire post itself, you know, has the settings we're used to, featured images, categories, tags, etc. But each block also has its own set of settings, which is over here in this right-hand menu. By the way, if you are ever on here and you don't see the menu, this little settings toggle is the one that toggles the settings. Also, if you're ever in WordPress and you don't see this left-hand menu, I like the left-hand menu, but by default right now, you see these little dots in the upper right corner. We have full screen mode. This is how WordPress opens now. Like they decided this was going to be the default. It's very frustrating to me because I like having that left-hand menu. So if you want to see your left-hand menu, it's this full screen mode in the upper right corner. Lots of options there. Okay. Anyway, I will go back to opening the settings. So each block often has its own set of settings. So the image block, for example, I've put in this really great image block. I could choose to have a rounded style or a default style. Themes or plugins can also add new block styles here. Or if you're a developer, you can create your own block styles here. For an image, there aren't a whole lot of settings. You can pick a different image size. You can give it a custom dimension. You can and should give it some alt text. And then up here, the image block actually is kind of cool because they've added this crop feature, which I think is just super, super neat. If you're in the crop feature, you can actually change the aspect ratio, you know, zoom in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is using the native WordPress cropping, which will save that image as a cropped version of its image. Cool. So just as an example, I can do that. And then now I have this super great cropped image that was very well cropped. I'll get rid of that. Got a question in the chat. Why would you use blocks if you're using a page builder like Beaver Builder or Elementor? I'm going to get to that kind of stuff a little bit later. Like, where does this fit in with all of this page builder stuff? But there are reasons for both of them to exist, I believe. And I do believe as things go on, page builders, if they're smart, will become more of an extension of what the block editor has to offer. In terms of performance and stuff, I believe that anything that is in WordPress core will by default be better integrated than something that is not in WordPress core. I haven't done performance tests, but the Gutenberg developers and the WordPress core team is very concerned with both performance and accessibility. So I know that they're trying to prioritize it, even if it's not perfect. But anyway, so I've shown you some of these things. For example, text field here, like here I am on this paragraph. Text has a bunch of options too. You can, you know, pick different text sizes. You can pick different colors. What I also love about the color pickers here is that it, like I said, WordPress is very concerned with accessibility. If you pick a lousy color combination, it kind of yells at you about contrast and says maybe you need to do a better job. You can see this alert that pops up here. This color combination might be hard for people to read. So that's pretty great. I can give it a drop cap. I can, you know, this is just fantastic, right? So anyway, this is the option. Oh, sure, you can't see my cursor most of the time. I got a direct message about that. No, it's fine. Just follow along. It's all right. But anyway, these are really basic, like inline level blocks. And as you can see here, there were a lot more complex layouts, right? We have stuff like columns and stuff. WordPress has not just text and media, but also a couple of really powerful blocks called columns and groups. Columns are what you think they are. If I insert a column block, I can pick a few different variations of 1, 2, or 3 columns. One that's pretty common is, one that's pretty common is 3 across. And then inside each of these, I can start adding, text and headings and paragraphs. So that's pretty powerful. I think I see a raised hand. Jack, is that you raising your hand? You can.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're totally good.
Okay. Yeah, the warning that you said about the text, are those, does that deal with accessibility standards?
Yes, I believe they are measuring it against contrast standards to say, hey, this doesn't meet contrast standards. So that's what that is.
All right, thank you.
So anyway, we have these layout blocks as well, and you can start adding, more stuff inside them. You can put images inside them. You can put other blocks inside them. That starts to get kind of complicated to navigate though, right? So a cool thing I can show you is if you're inside a page and you've done a whole bunch of stuff, I have this, let's see down here, I have this column block. This little stair stepper menu is something that I use all the time. It is a navigation menu that shows you what block you're on and what blocks are inside that block. So for example, I can see that I'm on this paragraph inside this column, and these are some of the things that go with it. So that's just a really useful little tool that they've given us in order to be able to kind of understand, because otherwise it's like, I don't know, like how do I select, which thing? It's a little hard to select. Another thing to be aware of when you're navigating blocks is, let's say, you're on a something inside a column that's inside a column. And it's like, well, I want to select the whole column. Well, how do I do that? Well, I can try to hopefully get it like I got it that time. But what if I want to select, like, how do I make, that's a lot of precision. Another thing you can do is if you hover over the icon of what thing you are, above it, the parent shows up. So I can select the parent. So again, if I'm on this paragraph here, and I'm like, I actually want to select the column that it's in. And then actually, I want to select the entire block of columns. That's like a useful tool that exists inside. Yeah, somebody said in the chat, great to find the nested blocks, the hidden blocks, like the stuff that you don't quite see. So again, the stair stepper is super useful. This like go-to parent thing is pretty useful. I like both of those. In terms of moving blocks around, this inline block tool thing here, it has the block dragger, so I can choose to move it somewhere, or I can choose to switch my columns around using the arrows. If I go to the parent block, I can choose to move the entire block up and down on the page. So pretty useful little tools. You may notice that, and I think this is in here somewhere, let's see, top toolbar. Okay, so it might annoy you to have this toolbar popping up on top of your content actually. And if that's the case, you can use this top toolbar view, which actually just moves the whole toolbar up to the top. So you don't have your dragging mechanism anymore, but you can still, choose to be on a block, move stuff up and down. Yep. So you lose a couple of the contextual things. You can't select the parent block, you can't drag it. But if you happen to be, navigating through blocks and, you can't find your toolbar, it might have moved up here. And that is this top toolbar setting under view. Now I've moved it back. So now it's in line again with the theme. So anyway, I don't want to like spend this whole time just like telling you all about what blocks exist, but I just wanted to let you know, Blocks exist. WordPress core comes with a lot of block. Each block usually has their own set of settings, and a lot of the settings and colors and stuff can be overridden by the theme. And the theme is what determines whether or not it looks the same in the back end as it does on the front end. So that's kind of the overall big thing. You may also notice that I have these other custom blocks. So these are not core WordPress blocks. These are something that I've built. Now, blocks can be built a lot of different ways. You can build the blocks natively using JavaScript, or if you are an Advanced Custom Fields Pro user, which I have been for a very long time, I've been a big fan of their stuff. They started doing block building that you can do using Advanced Custom Fields and PHP, which is kind of nice for me because my JavaScript skills are more display oriented than they are programming oriented. So this is a custom block that I have built as part of a block plugin that I have up on GitHub. If any of you that are Advanced Custom Fields Pro users want to check it out, that I am using Advanced Custom Fields to populate the content of this block. Same thing with this block. So I have chosen to put everything in the sidebar. It's not quite as nice as the inline editing, right? Like we like inline editing because we're just typing on it and editing it right here. But it does let you use kind of the Advanced Custom Fields interface to be able to do more complex stuff. There are other custom block plugins. I know Victor just mentioned the Genesis custom block plugin. There are a lot of other approaches to creating custom blocks. I'm not here necessarily to say one over the other. I'm just saying this is the one that I have used, which is pretty nice. The other nice thing about Advanced Custom Fields blocks is that they have started supporting, having a block with editable stuff inside it. So let's say you have a big block, but you want to have editable text inside it that's inline. It supports that now too. And I've built a couple blocks that are like that. So I wanted to mention there's a couple of other columns in this block adder. So we have all these blocks. You can search for a block to narrow it down. I have custom blocks that I have added down here. There are a ton of them. They're all built with Advanced Custom Fields. But you'll notice these other two tabs, patterns and reusable. So these are kind of fun. One of these is a developer tool, and one of these is actually a user tool that anybody can use without writing any code. I'm going to go into reusable blocks first, because this is something that comes with WordPress core, and it's something that any of you can use. What a reusable block is a block where you can put it in and it will be the exact same content on every single page that you use it on. So what is this useful for? Well, this is useful. Let's say you have like a newsletter sign up or something, or some kind of call to action that you want to have in the middle of every single one of your posts, right? You can build the block once. So let me just show you how that works. So I can build it and be like, please sign up now, yay, right? And then I can choose to add to reusable blocks. So this is under this little dot menu in the block option. So I'm on my block, doing my thing. This is a group block that I have put some stuff into. I've put a button in it. I've put a heading in it. I've put some content in it. And I'm like, I want this to be able to be reused on multiple pages. So I select my group where, and remember, if I'm in it and I don't really know how to get to the parent, I can go, up and select it that way, or I can go up here and select it that way. But what I can do is I can say, add to reusable blocks. And when I do that, I can give it a name. This is my example call to action block. Now, if I edit it, if I change it, so I'm in here, I'm changing it. If I edit it and I change it, like anywhere I have this block, anywhere else on the site, it will update. So that, again, that's really useful for repeating patterns of content that you want to see multiple places. You can also use it as kind of a hack at doing patterns, because what you can do is create a reusable block. Like, for example, a reusable block of columns. Now, if I just put this everywhere and didn't detach it, every time I changed the content, it would change everywhere. And that would kind of be hard, right? Because I don't want, I mean, this is just content. But what I can do is create a reusable block as a user. You saw how I did it. I just converted the whole thing to a reusable block. And then I selected the reusable block. And then I can just say convert to regular blocks. Well, now suddenly I have blocks. So this is kind of a end user's hack for block patterns, where you can build a complex layout, save it as a reusable block, open the reusable block, and then detach it, and now you can edit it. So that's kind of fun, because you can create kind of your own block patterns that way. Otherwise, you can, and yes, that would be across pages and posts. So let me go to a post. I'll just close this out. Let me go to a post and add one of these reusable blocks to it. So this is any post type that supports blocks. So I will add my example call to action block, and I'll edit it right here. And it has been edited. Save it. Cool. And then I will go back to my, I should probably publish this, right? I'll save that as a draft. I will go back to my other page that I had the block on before. I probably didn't save it, so it's fine. I'll just go to this page. Oh, wow, look at all these things I built. My example call to action block has been edited. Let's say I do it again. Do the thing, what? Edited, save, update. Go back to my posts. Oh gosh, is this the one I was doing today? Hopefully. Apparently I created a bunch of drafts while I was doing this example. And then you can see, there it is. It has changed on this page too. So that is how a reusable block works. There is also, let's see here. I'm trying to find the manage all of these things menu. Here it is. So under reusable blocks, if you have them, there's a link that says manage all reusable blocks. This takes you basically to a secret hidden custom post type. So the secret is that reusable blocks are actually a custom post type. It doesn't show up in the menu, but now all of these blocks are here. You can export blocks right here. You can export blocks as JSON and then import them. So you actually, yes, April, can export them to create a library of blocks for building other sites. That's a very good way of doing it, especially if you don't do code to be able to write patterns. So now you can edit this reusable block here. So you don't have to edit it in line with your content. And if I edit it here, it'll change everywhere that I used it. So this is a fun tool. This isn't a developer tool. This is the user tool. So hopefully that was neat. You can't, yeah, so I'll go back to a page that I was on so I can show you this other thing called block patterns. So block patterns are a developer tool. They're something that I provide inside my theme or inside my plugins. And what they are, WordPress comes with a few patterns by default. So if you, I have disabled all of the core WordPress patterns on my own personal theme. But if you have a fresh install of WordPress, you'll see some patterns. I have created a few sets of,
oh, for fuck's sake.
I've created a few sets of patterns that I think my clients are going to want to use. So 2-column, 3-column, column with images. If I add this, I mean, yeah, make sure everybody stays muted. Scott, you're funny. All right. So anyway, you can see that this particular example here would probably take a little while to build, right? Because you'd have to add the column block and then put an image in each one and then put a subheading in each one, put a paragraph in each one. You can do it, but it's a lot of work. I built it as a pattern so that all I have to do is go to my patterns, go to my columns, and then add that one. But it's a pretty common pattern, right? People are going to use that. Something else I could do is close that. No, close that. Whatever. Something else I could do is add this to a reusable block, and then I would have a reusable block too. So again, user tool, reusable blocks. developer tool, block patterns. I have a few other different, patterns that I've already pre-built, featured content, different things like that. But this is all stuff that I include in my theme. So you might see block patterns as part of WordPress core. You might see some themes that include block patterns. One thing that I do is I only use core blocks in my block patterns. So, if something changes, the theme changes or whatever, the patterns will not go away. But you can use custom blocks in block patterns as well. I just recommend if you do so, try to have like a check in there. This is a developer thing. Try to have like a check in there to check to see if that thing exists. Otherwise, you're just going to get like a error, this block didn't render thing. And that's not a good user experience for your clients. All right. So that's kind of the big overall tour of everything. I know that I can't go over the entire block editor in an hour, but hopefully, you've learned a couple of little things. I'm going to kind of look back at some of the questions. I know one thing I said I would answer is about page builders versus Gutenberg. So people who use page builders now, I as a developer don't use a page builder because I prefer to build everything myself. And I have found that like the interface for a page builder, even the good page builders, like, I mean, there's a lot of good page builders out there. It offers too much granular control to my end user that I'm not trying to give them. What I'm trying to do is let my end user, my client, the admin, be able to easily write and publish content without having to think too much about the details like margin and spacing and backgrounds and like all those little granular controls that you get in a block editor, in a page builder. But the thing that page builders do well is they enable people who are not me, who are not developers, to have strong opinions about layout. That's exactly what I call it. I say page builders are for non-developers that have very strong opinions because they want to be able to have that level of granular control. And I think that the block editor will hopefully never get to that level of granular control. Like it is going to give you some of that control, like some control of like margin and padding and color and typography. But I don't think it's ever going to get to the level of granular control that a page builder will. And I don't want it to, because it becomes, when you're in a page builder, you are trying to make decisions about layout instead of content. And I want my clients to be focused on content. I think the block editor does a really good job of giving some options, right? Like I can, type text, but I can decide that I want my text to be large. Like that's great because maybe this is like a subheading or something, or I can choose to change it to an actual heading if I want to, instead of having it be a paragraph for better semantics. I can change the line height, I can change the color, but what I'm not doing is I'm not, picking from a million fonts, and I'm not, setting the granular margin and padding, and I'm just doing the stuff that helps format the content well. I'm not doing things that are concerned with like granular layout decisions. So that's kind of how I feel that page builders are going to work alongside the block editor, is basically just opening up more detailed options for the people that want them. When it comes to full site editing, so that's something that's coming in the future, the near future, where right now we're looking at the block editor and it's just inside the content window, right? Like this is where our content goes, but everything else, the header, the footer, whatever, that's part of your theme. Full site editing is going to blockularize the entire theme. So a theme will come with a pre-built set of styles, of layouts, but all of those things will be able to be overridden by decisions that you make inside the block editor for full site editing. To me, this reminds me a lot of if you've ever worked with Beaver Builder as a page builder inside the content, and then you work with Beaver Themer, which is the one that lets you build layouts. Now, I believe that Beaver Builder and Beaver Themer are going to have a lot more complexity than the full site editing block editor will, but it's kind of a similar philosophy for the end user. Like, you can do your building within the content, and then you can do your building of the templates and the structure. And the job of the theme will be to provide a stable, modular base layout that everything can kind of build upon and be customized on top of. So that's going to be coming. It's a lot of work for people like me to start like doing stuff, but good question in the chat. If you change the font size instead of changing it to a header or heading, how can it affect your page's ranking? Right, so I would recommend to think about why you're changing the font size. If it is something that should be behaving as a heading or subheading, make it be a heading or subheading. But for example, if you like to have, like, let's say you're a long form publication, you know, your subheadings in the middle of the content should all probably be, you know, your H2s, your H3s, right? But let's say you like to have the first paragraph be stylistically different, like it's just larger. You should probably just change the font size for that, right? Like that is not a heading, that is just a large paragraph. So be sure to follow good semantic rules when you're playing with your block settings. Another fun thing that this has, let me see if I have a post that actually has content in it instead of just like playing with stuff. I have also installed, this is my demo theme. So I have the WordPress unit test content in here, which you can get. I also have installed the block unit test plugin. So I just have a whole bunch of just demo content all over the place. I'm trying to find one that has like actual content in it. I probably don't have one. This is the downside of having a demo site. It's like, oh, I don't actually have content. Let's go in this one. So this info button's fun. It gives you kind of word count and all of that fun stuff, which is really useful for long form publishing. I have 0 paragraphs. You know, this is a classic block. I'm going to just convert this to blocks. All right, there we go. This is what I was trying to show you. All right, so I have blocks on the page. You can see I have paragraphs, default, left, center, justify, etc. In my info tab in the top, you can see the number of characters and words and headings. Then you can see my document outline, and you can see that it's yelling at me because I went right from the title to an H3, and it said that is incorrect. Don't do that. So this is really nice because it'll tell you, like, are you being semantically correct? And that's this little info tag. So it tells you how many headings. It kind of gives you like a little, it gives you like a little table of contents of your thing. So that's pretty sweet. What is my GitHub link? So I'm going to post this in the chat, but I am MarkTime Media, one word, everywhere on the internet, including GitHub. So if you want to say nice things to me on Twitter, or check out my theme or my plugin code on GitHub, or find me anywhere on the internet, I am MarkTime Media. If you want links to all of that stuff, my website is mynameismichelle.com, and that has all of my social and business links on there, so you can come bother me on the internet if you want to chat later. But anyway, so that's that. Yeah, that is a fun thing. I really like how WordPress is trying to encourage people to be accessible and semantic, and this is also just really nice for if you do a lot of long form publishing. Do I have a Discord channel? I don't. You know, I don't know. I'm not like cool. I'm lucky that I have like Instagram, okay? Like I'm not that cool. Right, April's agreeing with me. If there's any other questions though, feel free to pop them into the chat and I can answer them right now. I've been kind of rambling about a lot of things, or you know, raise your hand, like push the raise hand thing and I'll try to see you. And you can say it with words if you want to say words. Otherwise, yeah, I'll keep going here. So anyway, just to recap some of the stuff I went over core blocks within WordPress, which comes out of the Gutenberg plugin. Our own local site. You can see what's coming up and some of the new interface stuff. There's a lot of fun things. I've gone over, you know, custom blocks, different things can incorporate custom blocks. I use ACF to build custom blocks. Any suggestions for a JavaScript developer who wants to get into WordPress developing? Let's see. I mean, I think that diving into some of the courses on it is probably good. But yeah, that's hard, like coming into it. I mean, honestly, for WordPress developing, historically, it's a lot of PHP. There is a lot more JavaScript now, though. So maybe getting into block development is a great way for a JavaScript developer to get into WordPress, right? Because you need it. Another question, surprised me a bit with the demo already. What are some things most people don't know the block editor can do? I think nested blocks are one of my favorite things to be able to do complex layouts. You know, if you take a group block and maybe wide, like, so if I wanted to build, I don't know, like, I could take a group block, you know, put a color behind it and make that wide width, but then put like a columns block inside it and have it regular width, and then put stuff inside that, then I can start building like stacked stripe layouts that are really complex and interesting. One of my favorite blocks also is the media and text block. I absolutely love this thing. It's like a really easy way to be able to it's a really easy way to be able to like, this is a very common like layout, right? An image with stuff. This thing not only takes text, but can also take, you know, a button block or anything else. So you can put anything inside here. You can have an image. You can choose to crop the image to fill the column or to have it be its full size. You can have settings of whether it should stack on mobile. Images also all come with this focal point picker. So you can choose when it crops where, you know, where the image is going to focus on. And then I could choose to make this, you know, my theme supports this, so I could make this full width, and then I could add another one below it and do, you know, switch the direction, and then let's do another color, and really, really easily, you know, let me show you a preview of this. Really, really easily just start building like these really cool stacked layouts without a whole lot of effort. Now I'm on, you can also see here something I did as a theme author. My blog post view has a sidebar, my pages don't. So even though I tried to make it full width, my theme says, nuh-uh, not allowed. You have a sidebar, don't do that. So something I did as a theme author, super fun. Oh yeah, another thing too, previewing. Previewing takes 2 clicks now because you have to pick what size you want to preview at. But that's actually kind of nice because now you can really easily preview your layout on a desktop, tablet, or mobile. So that's cool. Anyway, that's built in, which is nice. Ooh, can you show how to link video? Yeah, I can. Okay, so video is actually an embed that comes with this. There are several. I will just do a generic video. You can upload a video or add one from your media library or insert from URL. I think I always use this. Oh, it's going to be loud. Hold on. I always use this particular video. It's one of the Pixar shorts. All right, let's get out of that before it starts playing. Insert from URL. Embedding, check it out. I just put a video in. That was easy. And it'll automatically resize it for smaller devices. I can, you know, choose to make it a full width. I can make it a wide width. I can put it, you know, I can make it tiny. I can make it big. It's that simple to add video to things. And then I can also choose to like put a caption. That's my really descriptive caption there. Yes, I use this. So any size limitation, I'm guessing that's on uploading videos. I wouldn't necessarily recommend uploading a video to WordPress unless you're using like a video, like one of the premium video hosting things like VideoPress. Let's see. Can custom blocks be built in a way to allow built-in blocks to be nested inside? ACF Pro, yes. That's the one I know of because I've used it. Yes, to a degree. They did introduce nesting blocks inside blocks with one of the recent ones. And I have a resource for that. If you want to like bug me after on like Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever people, my contact form, and ask me that question, I can try to send you that link to some of their documentation, but they're doing that. Tweeting, yes, Twitter engagement. I actually wanted to check something. So the cover block, love the cover block. This is probably the one, this is probably like the reason that blocks exist, is because everybody always wanted one of these. The cover block is the one where, you know, it's like your background image with some text and buttons and stuff. Everybody loves this. My theme has a default background because I just like ampersands. I think they're pretty, but this is the one where you can have stuff in your media library. If you upload a video, you can make a video cover just that easily. You can also change where the focal point is of, you know, the video itself. You can give it a color overlay. You can do a gradient overlay. You know, you can do, yeah, all this stuff. And this is just built into Gutenberg. So this is a video that is uploaded to the media library that you can use inside your cover block. And just like do that thing that everybody does really easily. Can I overlay blocks, a block that's tall and thin like a column, over a wide but short block? I think that is something that the theme author has to have control over. So I have built blocks that overlap. Oh, I've taken core blocks and kind of given them a custom class that gives them that overlap. There isn't necessarily a way to just like tell blocks to overlap inside the UI. But themes can definitely have some control over that. I've built some patterns that do that, and then a lot of that is in the theme styling right now, so it's not really built into the UI. But like theme developers can do pretty much anything with CSS that you can do anywhere else. You can do for a block. Yep. So. Yeah, so Victor's saying 2021 theme has a block pattern for overlay. Yeah, so like the theme author has like written a bunch of that stuff into their blocks and block patterns, which is again why block patterns are super useful. I'm really distracted by this video. Any other last few questions? We're getting kind of close to top of the hour.
I think we've got time for one or two more.
Better be good.
I know, right?
No pressure.
All right. Are you hiring?
Am I hiring? Absolutely not. One thing that is important to me is always being only working for myself or working with others, but I don't have anyone under me. But you know, if anybody ever wants to collaborate on anything and they have a fun project, we can talk. You know how to find me.
Awesome. Well, if there's no more questions, I mean, this has been really mind-blowing for me because we use Gutenberg all the time, but we don't really, I mean, most of the stuff we're using for is for like quotes or adding pictures, and you know, this has been really informative for me, so I'm sure for everyone else as well, right? So just to close out, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming and sharing this with us. This has been really, really great. And for everybody else, we are here the first Wednesday of every month, and so glad you all showed up and can't wait to see you next time. All right. So thank you again, Michelle, and we can go ahead and sign off now. Thank you.